Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another review from an aircraft, a very interesting aircraft actually, the Mirage 3CJ, commonly known in Hebrew as the Shahak. I don't know what's called exactly, but it means skies in Hebrew. So yeah, basically it's the normal Mirage 3C that we already seen on the French Tech 3. But it's an export variant of it. Basically, the differences historically are that it's a little bit simpler in avionics and stuff like that. So doesn't change much, you know. In general, it is the same aircraft, but without the booster rocket motor and without some of the loadout options. So it doesn't have magics, for example, and it doesn't have the M9B. Only has the Shafir 2, a Israeli missile based on the M9B, the evolution of the Shafir 1, and it uses the R530, the normal variant, the radar guided one, and the IR version, which I'm currently using in these battles that I'm going to show to you guys. But yeah, basically Israel bought this aircraft in 1962. They bought basically 70 of them. It is technically 76 of them, but some of them were Bs and some of them were Rs, which are two-seaters and reconnaissance variants. But normally delivered, I found two sources saying that they were delivered 70 of them, and another one that said that it's 72. So basically 70 aircraft in 61 through 64. Basically they started operating in 62. So yeah, and they were sold, 19 of them were sold to Argentina in December of 1982, so pretty interesting to see that as well. But in general, it's just a normal Mirage, the 3C. So it is a light fighter interceptor. It has a very cool radar, still very old. I mean, it's an early 60s aircraft. The performance, the engine is very strong for the time, but it has a problem with the delta wing. You have to remember, all the delta wings are kind of problematic in the sense that they lose a lot of speed when they try to actually turn a lot. So you have to be careful with that, and it takes a while to actually get the speed again. So yeah, we're going to see a lot of games here. Some of them are going to end up dying, some of them are going to kill a lot of people. So yeah, in general, here we have one that we played in the Israeli map near the border of Lebanon. But yeah, pretty cool jet. I must say that even though it's the same aircraft as the French one, it's completely different. The main thing is that it doesn't have the 10.3 BR, so it gets a lot of down tiers. This aircraft, I basically have a 4.0 KD with it, just from spading it. So it is a very, very, very capable aircraft in general. The MiG-21s and the F-4Cs are probably the main fighters and the main aircraft that you're going to face that are very good against you, but still you have a little bit more performance on the engine and you turn a little bit more, but you have to be careful in general with the amount of energy that you lose trying to turn. Okay, this is the main problem with the aircraft, like the normal Mirages, but you have the lower BR. Okay, so this is kind of better because you kind of don't face, you just don't face the top tiers basically, which late 70s, early 80s aircraft facing a 1961, 60, 62 aircraft is problematic, right? So the history behind it, as I was saying a little bit, Israel actually bought a lot of them. Actually was the main exporter client for the Mirage 3 in general, DC. But it is basically a Mirage 3, a 3C, okay? It doesn't have much difference at all. France actually embargoed the Mirage 3C or any weapons sold for Israel after the Six-Day War in 1967, which the Mirage actually was pretty successful in general against MiG-21s, 19s in general, because of Operation Focus. Learn a little bit about on Wiki. There's a lot of info and a lot of videos on it. But Israel basically kind of did a very good intelligence operation and basically got up and destroyed basically the entire air force of Egypt and Syria with surprise attacks. And the Mirage was one of the main fighters in that situation, together with the Super Mystère and the A4, for example. But yeah, they destroyed a lot of aircraft. There's not an exact number of aircraft that they actually destroyed in airborne operations, because a lot of them were destroyed on the ground by bombing missions. But they were getting the Egyptians and the Syrians by surprise, so they were pretty successful. The pilots were pretty good in general from both sides, but the surprise attack of the Mirages were better, and the superior numbers as well against the Syrian Air Force in specific. But yeah, it's pretty good in general. I mean, the history behind it, I mean, they kind of maintained the aircraft until 1980s, basically. They did some modifications to it. They did a Kafir, and they did the Nasher. Basically, the Nasher was a Mirage 5F. We're going to talk about it once I get it. But in general, the Mirage, the Nasher was built inside Israel. It's kind of a polemic thing to talk about, because the information that normally we have on the Mirage, the Nasher, I mean, it's kind of, I mean, they were trying to sell it to Israel, but then the embargo came, and that's so kind of just maintaining the aircraft that they already had bought, and basically it means that the project was kind of, you know, left behind to actually sell the aircraft, and they actually kind of just build their own, so they don't know if there was a lot of inside information from the Dassault to actually buy, and some money basically, maybe, I don't know, maybe Mossad helped a lot, so there's a lot of information about that we kind of don't know. But in general, this is it for the history, and in game basically it is a very good aircraft. As I said before, I managed to get a 4.0 KD, kind of, it's close to that, once I spade it, because the aircraft is just amazing. Look at the aircraft that we are fighting. Even though aircraft like the Harrier, they have a lot of things that they have in advantage for the Mirage, like the M9G, for example, and the air spawn. They're just not a match for the performance of a Mirage, you know. So in general, you face a lot weaker aircraft than yours, basically. Like I said before, the main enemies that you face is the F4C, as you see, and the MiG-21, of course, and of course the A5 is a great enemy to fight. But basically, the main thing about this aircraft is that all the aircraft that you face, you can actually win in a dogfight. There's no hard aircraft to kill if you know what you're doing. But the main thing is actually to just try to maintain your energy. So the Mirage was always one of my favorite aircraft that I wanted to get, especially when I started playing with friends. But the thing is, it took a while to the Mirage get to the game, and even now we are guiding is taking too long to actually put the Mirage F1. That the Mirage was kind of dead on arrival, but this is one of the things that I always wanted with a Mirage, a lower BR with worse missiles. So it's a thing that I always defended on the forums and stuff, that we don't need a superior Mirage 3 with magics, you know, at a higher BR. I still think that the M9s should be the best IR missiles that they have on the French one, and the BR should be lowered, you know, because there's a lot of problems having a higher BR, you know. So the Mirage was not, I mean, the point that I'm getting it is that the Mirage was not always a great fighter, you know. It was always kind of mediocre in general. The E especially is not that good because of the extra weight of it, and even with the flares, it's not that good. Because it is a very old aircraft. It's supposed to fly against, I mean, it's supposed to fight against MiG-21s and stuff like that, not MiG-23s and advanced F4s and stuff like that. So in general, it is a very problematic aircraft in the French 3, especially because we don't have a higher tier. Look at this kill, crazy kill, right? That was a 530 kill, pretty cool. But in general, this is the idea: is that the Mirage CJ, the Shahak, it's way better than the normal Mirages, just because it has a lower BR. So it has the 530, of course, which you saw the kill right there. It's just a very good missile with this BR. You have to be careful, especially with the radar guided version. It really likes chaff, and basically it's not the most maneuverable, and it's a very slow missile. Even though the stat card says that it gets to Mach 2.7 or something, it doesn't go there. You know, it feels like it's barely Mach 1. So it's a very slow missile. It doesn't turn a lot, but it has a very long range in general for IR missile, and for a radar missile is pretty okay as well. But in general, you have to think about the M9Ds. Okay, the Chauffeur. Apparently, there's a bug right now that you start with the Chauffeur even though we don't have the, even if you don't have the upgrade researched. So you start with the Chauffeur, which is a very good missile at this BR as well. It's kind of a M9B, but with a little bit more speed. So it's pretty cool in general. And once you get the M9D and the 530, it becomes a whole another machine. I mean, the M9D is one of the most amazing missiles in the game, especially if you think on the year that this thing was developed. It's late 50s, start of the 60s. So, and it's basically M9G, it doesn't have much difference from the M9G. So it's a very low BR missile, but with very high capacity of killing enemies. So it's a very good missile against very large distance, basically. So the idea is that I mean, you're going to see me shooting a lot of missiles from far away, like 3 to 4 to 5 kilometers maybe, and yeah, friendly fire. But and in general, it is fine with the missile, you know. So it is a very capable aircraft. Try to fly high with it. Try to intercept the, of course, the normal aircraft that you always intercept in the start of a match for now, because it's going to change. But just try to get, yeah, look at this, very good kill. But in general, just try to intercept the strike aircraft that have the air spawn for now, okay? Especially because they're going to remove the air spawn and you're going to be facing more fighters in the start of the match. So if you are getting the Mirage or already got the Mirage, try to do that, you know. As you see, pretty good burn time for the missile, you know, it impacted the target burning. So yeah, pretty good. But yeah, in general, it is an interceptor. It is a light fighter in general. It's like a MiG-21, but it is just a more, how do I say this, like a more, they really decided to go full delta wing, you know. So the radar is better than the MiG-21, and the delta wing makes the aircraft turn a lot. So always think about that. But that's just a normal thought on everybody that knows that what a Mirage is. The DEFAs, I must say, they are pretty amazing in general. I always try to use the default ammo just because they kind of kill the ground targets as well, so you don't have to actually shoot a lot to kill light pillboxes, for example. And it has a lot of ammo in general. I mean, the slow fire rate of the DEFAs helps a little bit on retaining. It doesn't have a lot of range on the guns. You have to think about that. barely makes to 1 kilometer, so don't fire at 700 to 1 kilometer plus, you know. Try to get real close to the enemy and just unleash the power of the 30 millimeter. They're pretty amazing missiles, cannons, but they have these kind of problems, you know. They are revolvers, so they kind of are evolution of the old Defas, of course, but the hunter cannons, the Aidens, you know. They are kind of a developed version of that. They are the 5.52, which is the middle ground to the 5.54, which is the cannon on the Mirage 2000. So it is a pretty good cannon in general. So you just have to be careful. Remember, it has very cool skins. It has these normal skin that you see right now, and I'm going to show a little bit on the others as well. But you see there's two other skins for it. One is for the, what is it called, 101st, I think, and the other one is for the 117. They're basically the same, you know. They're I mean, they're kind of like what's it called, like a polished version, you know, like the MiGs. There's a lot of MiGs with it, this type of thing. But it's pretty cool that the 101st, it's actually a very well-known squadron for the Israeli Air Force, and as well the 117. So pretty cool skins as well. You can get both by kills, and yeah, I mean, actually one of them you have to, no, both of them are by kills. So yeah, but in general this is it. It's a pretty good jet in general. I mean, I advise you guys rushing for it. I'm going to make a video on rank 6 of the Israeli tech tree, so you know how to actually what's the best way to actually grind. But in general, try to watch out, you know. But yeah, guys, this is just the ending of the review. It's kind of a good review. I mean, it is a great aircraft in general. Just try to maintain the speed. It always helps. Try to fly high and intercept targets. As you see, if someone wants to actually dogfight you, feel free to do it. Even against the J-35, it's pretty easy to win. The J-35 loses a lot more energy than you, and even though it has a more strong engine than you, yeah, you kind of retain the energy. So yeah, missiles in this BR are pretty bad, as you see. The F-105 trying to shoot at me. I just outrun the missile. If it was a AIM-9D, I probably had to actually evade it. So yeah, a lot of aircraft firing at me, so I tried to evade, probably AIM-9Es. So yeah, and it is a beautiful aircraft. I mean, who doesn't like a Mirage, you know? The Mirages are always one of the prettiest aircraft out there, especially the 3 in the 2000. You have to try to research it. I mean, if you're going to research the modifications, of course, try to rush for the missiles. After that, get the G-suit as soon as possible. The engines and compressors and the new boosters are very important because of the amount of compression that you have at higher speeds with roll rates, which is pretty funny actually. About that. And after that you can get the guns and the bombs, of course. If you are going to use bombs, you cannot use them together with the R530, but you can use them together with the 90s, which always is nice to have. But yeah, guys, basically this is it. A lot of kills, as you saw in the background. A pretty good, very good games, and in general very good aircraft. Try to stay safe out there, you know. Try to get the amount of experience in this type of jets. If you are researching the Israeli tech tree, it is not an easy thing to do, to research it. I mean, it has very bad planes, but what is happening with the sound? Something happened with the sound, but yeah. But basically this is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe, to click to make we go to 1,000 subscribers ASAP. And of course, if I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to actually show my face and do a lot of things. This was an ace battle, pretty cool, right? But yeah, basically this was it. I mean, if you liked the video, click the like button and tell me in the comments what else you want to see as I review it. Make sure to also be prepared that some stuff are coming to the channel, like a Discord and maybe a Patreon. So yeah, but yeah, bye guys.